Hey guys, in this video I thought we would go back and revisit the Revoltech Sci-Fi series figure number 14, Jason Voorhees. The first time I did this review was back in November 19th, 2010. So it was actually near the beginning of my days on YouTube. That was long overdue that we go back and look at Jason Voorhees again from the Revoltech line. Let's get some measurements going here. Jason Voorhees, if I put my tape measure next to him, is a very small 5 inches tall. You certainly could not put him amongst the other 7-inch NECA figures or Mezco figures and whatnot, because he would certainly stand out like a sore thumb. He does come with the little Revoltech container that some of the older figures came with, and he does also come with this chip, Revoltech 10 points, which you can head over to www.revoltech.in. The storage container is perfect for holding that. I mean, you could put some of the little odds and ends and hands, and you can fit the other hand with the head in there as well. Just kind of gives you some extra, place for your accessories. Let's close that up, and we'll just put that over there. He comes with actually a really cool looking display base, which I may not necessarily use for Revoltech Jason, but if you just saw my review of which was actually another throwback, where I did the Cinema Fear, the Mezco Cinema Fear 3 3/4 inch Jason, this would actually be an ideal display backdrop for it. I mean, you would use it for Revoltech, but no one's to say that you have to. It's the interior of the barn, and when you get it out of box, let me just show you how everything comes together. This is a separate piece. This is a separate piece. So you have your starting point with the hay bottom. You got a bloodied saddle. You basically got blood everywhere. A horseshoe, yet I'm sure nobody was lucky. Horseshoes, no luck there. And then you get the fence piece, which has like a little nail on the end. Not really any, I guess you could kind of hang things like the saw. I guess you could put at the side of that. There's not really anything else that has a hole to it that you could fit over there, but I mean the saw would be ideal. You could just fit that on the nail. But you would take this and very carefully, especially you don't want to apply pressure to the actual boards, you just want to snap that into place, and then this extra piece, which faces this way, has the noose. And I have to say, for the fact that this figure is so old, the wood looks pretty good. It does actually look like real wood. And then that just attaches to the top like so. And then you get this as your backdrop. There's little 2 peg holes on the bottom here that he could fit, but I mean, it gives you very, very little clearance to work. I mean, it's more for a standing display than it is for a dynamic, hey, I'm going to have Jason really cool standing or action posed. He pretty much is going to be standing as is, because there's really not really a lot of room to work from. And I think just for fun we'll put the saw in there. By the way, that's one of the accessories. He comes with a ton, which is one of the things Revoltech is good for. You get a ton of different accessories. So he comes with the saw. I suppose you could have him holding it. It seems odd just to have Jason with a saw, so I'd be more inclined just to kind of have it like that. He does also come with a placard. It says Jason Voorhees, Friday the 13th, 1980. Which actually is not really 100%, because he didn't appear in the 1980 Friday the 13th. He appeared in Friday the 13th Part 3D, which was not in 1980, but nonetheless. Then he gets that. And then he gets all this extra stuff. Before we look at all this extra stuff, I'm just doing this a lot, let's have a look at the figure. I jumped on this initially when he came out. Since then, he's been a little harder to come by. And I thought, it was still a good time to go back and revisit this figure. Unfortunately, this figure, well, suffers a bit in the way of it's dated. I don't think it shows its age. Let's just say that. The body is actually pretty good. Paint and sculpt equally so. Some nice airbrushing done on the interior of the thigh, but the wrinkles are good, the boots are good, the shirt rivals really anything that even nowadays has come out, even like the NECA stuff. So the wrinkles on the shirt are done nicely. You do notice big obvious gaps, unfortunately, between the forearm and the upper part of the arm because of the ratcheted joint. Oh, one of the beautiful things about Revoltech is that you got that ratcheted joint. But unfortunately, the one thing that you would want to have good, the face feels really rough. More importantly, a lot of the holes, especially around the mouth area, are quite gooped with extra white paint. The neck and the head sculpt are pretty good, and I don't think this one can be removed. I actually have not tried. I think you can remove, yeah, there we go, you can remove it. You can take it off, and which is a better way for me to showcase the mask. You can see all those holes. I maybe would be inclined to try to go in there with a very small bit, maybe like a small thumbtack or something, and see if I can actually work my way through those painted over holes. Because it doesn't read so much Jason when you got all those little extra holes painted over in the paint. It's crudely done. The straps aren't terrible, but the mask could use a lot of work, unfortunately. Underneath that is a fairly decent looking face sculpt. They've painted in even the areas such as the interior of his mouth in pink. The eyes are painted in blue. It's actually not a bad looking head sculpt. It seems almost robbing it, unfortunately, when you put the mask over top of it. Now he does have two head sculpts. This one here, and he does also have this head sculpt here as well. Now this one, by contrast, has at least the holes fully developed. There's no paint gooped over top of them. And you can replace the head. I usually take the mask off. Replace the head by just popping off the ball joint. There's that same ratcheted joint. And I'm gonna take this mask off too. Well, actually, that one's a fairly secure one, so I'll just put that on as is. And it's a little difficult, I have to admit, to get the head back on the joint because it's actually not a conventional ball joint. Instead, what it is it's almost like a pin joint, similar to the arms. And there you have, it's not completely in. There you have the alternate face, which as you can see has the big gash at the top where the axe would be in there, blood trickling down the side. And you can take this off, and it's basically almost exactly the same head sculpt other than some additional blood that's been dripping down the side of his face. Other than that, it's exactly the same. Like the gash, and you can go ahead and take the axe and you can wedge it in there. And it's one of I even struggle with like the NECA figures to sometimes get the axe lodged in place. Here you can easily lodge it into Jason's head. And for that one better, you go ahead and take the mask and put the hockey mask over top again. And again, let's try getting the axe wedged in there. Oops. If not for me banging it. Get the axe wedged in there. It has to work a little harder because it's going through a mask as well. But it should actually fit in there too. Just really difficult, mind you. But it looks like it would actually fit in there and stay in there. Just be it for the fact that the mask is slightly in the way. Of the two masks, this is a better looking mask, just again because it is at least all the holes have been hollowed or drilled through. This one again, defaulted, I probably would be displaying him with this mask versus this mask right here. And then it's just entirely up to you which head sculpt you would want to use instead. The only thing I don't like is for it being a Revoltech, or Revoltech, however you would like to pronounce it. Unfortunately, because of that, the hardest part is just getting the head in place. This head doesn't sit in place as well. You can see it. You have to be exact for getting this on. It's not like a ball joint where you just put it on the ball joint and just kind of work its way on until it gets in. Here you have to be precisely getting it into that hole, and it's such a very thin peg You don't accidentally want to be breaking that. I think what I will do, though, is I'll take this mask off, because it's just a better looking hockey mask, and I'll fit that over top of Jason's face. Yeah, that looks a lot better. Much, much better. You know what, while we're at it, let's look at his posability, and then we'll kind of look at all this other stuff that he comes with. His head is on that ratcheted joint. Rotates slightly left and right, but up and down. The arms move outward, all the way around. He has a nice, oh, I love this ratcheted joint that he's got in his arms. Forearms rotate, hands rotate. Doesn't really look like he's got a whole lot going on in his torso, but he's got the ratcheted joint in his legs, ratcheted joint in the knees, and not really so much the ratcheted joint, but he also has a hinge in his foot. There is Jason Voorhees. Slightly dated. There's his hands, by the way. He's got one relaxed oven mitt-sized hand, and one hand holding for really anything you want, like the axe and whatnot. So there's Jason Voorhees. Again, a little on the dated side, but there's still a love. There's a little bit of, I would say, for this particular piece. Let's look at all the accessories that he comes with. He comes with an axe. Looks really good. I like how they've given a darker shade near the base or the handle area of the axe, and a little lighter to the tip of the blade. Comes with a pickaxe. If he wants to be mining for gold or somebody's brain. Comes with a pitchfork. And I really can't say anything negative about the actual tools. All of them, all his weapons, are very nicely done, even though it's an older figure. Comes with a standard machete with blood. He's been cutting something. Probably thinking not tomatoes. Nice gunmetal gray there, silver, with the brown handle, even painted in the little rivets. Comes with a shovel. Again, really nice paint there. And he comes with another axe with blood, obviously for ideally wedging into his head. Then, for other options, he comes with another relaxed hand. So if you want to have two relaxed hands on Jason's, you can do that. But one of the coolest things he comes with is the severed head. He doesn't really have there's never really a scene in the movie where there's a severed head. There, of course, is the much discussed, cut of the ending of the film, the alternate ending, in which the main surviving girl ends up gets her head cut off by Jason. Which, it's interesting that they would come up with this as an interchangeable hand, because there's very few references to this in the movie, other than if you've seen like Crystal Lake Memories, which is one of my favorite documentaries. They discuss the alternate ending that just ended up getting scrapped. His head comes right off. But it's neat that he comes with the severed head. I think that is cool. One of the possible ways that I would be displaying him. And then maybe what I would do is, obviously he's cut the head off some way. So I probably would end up displaying Jason with the head in his hand, the bloodied machete in the other. Again, it's a great piece. It's unfortunately old. I mean, they've not really released any other Jason in this Revoltech line. I was lucky enough to get this guy initially when he first came out. Can't remember honestly what I paid for him. I feel like it was like 40 something, $50 for it. I think the prices, I haven't really looked for prices on this guy. I would imagine the prices have increased a little bit due to the rarity of him and the fact that he is a much older figure. He slunches, like he hunches a little bit over, but I guess that you chalk that up to the way he stands in Friday the 13th Part 3D. Paint is pretty good. The mask, formerly, this one right here, not the greatest. It does look crude. This one looks a little bit better, and probably the way I would likely be displaying him if I so choose to decide to display him once again, which I really do like. I like that he's a smaller figure. He doesn't really fit with the other NECA figures, but still, he is in its own thing, the Revoltech Jason, and I think he's pretty cool. All the more reason why I want to go back, and I've lately been doing a whole bunch of Jason reviews, so I thought this particular one in my collection, I haven't done him for a long, long time. What, 2010? It was time to go back and revisit this figure, and I'm actually kind of glad that I did. If you guys haven't had a chance to subscribe to this channel, hit that little subscribe button down below. If you also had a chance to pick up this figure, let me know what you think of it down below in the comments section. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you next time.